good morning. It's Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal. And today we are going to talk to Chris Laney from Pretty Maids. But we are here to talk about at the movies. I'm glad to talk to you, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. I'm fine. And I'm glad to talk at the movies.
Of course.
Yeah.
So now we know that at the movies was a result of the lockdown.
Yeah.
Story told that you sent the arrangement to Alan Sorensen, and I would like to know if you share your ideas only with Alan or you talk to other musicians before starting the project.
When we started it all, it was only Alan, because we decided to do something. We didn't know what, but we knew we had to do something. And we were talking about, let's just do like, songs from films or whatever, because he just built his own drum studio. And I was helping him with the drum studio setup like this. So he would film with his phone, go like, no, 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 you had to change that microphone a little bit here. And but when we decided to do something and we got everyone else aboard, of course I sent it to all. I mean, but we only had one day to decide because I probably will get the question. I don't know if you want me to answer it now, but the way we worked was we released a song every Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Or 7 o'clock, sorry. And we were sitting there drinking just like you and me, cheers, let's have a release day. I'm going to tag you. And then we decided on kind of what songs. We were talking about songs. And then on the Friday, I started making a demo. And I sent it, and I needed quick response. Is this okay or not?
Yes.
And then I sent that demo without drums to Alan. Alan got it. I got his drums on Saturday. I took away all the drum machine and I mixed his drums, sent it to Pontus Egberg to do his bass. And and we had a deadline for everyone to deliver before Tuesday night because I needed to mix for a few hours. And then Wednesday, they were cutting the videos together. And on a Thursday, we released it. And then it was Friday and a new track. So it was a idiot project.
Yes, so it took several months, no, week after week.
After week after week, we did volume 1 first, and that was like 13 weeks in a row. And then we had the summertime off, and then we did season 2. Yeah.
Yes, I forgot, but yes, at the movies, the first CD was released maybe 1 year ago, a year and a
1 year
half.
ago, but it was only released via us. We
Oh,
had this campaign going, called Indiegogo.
yes.
And the thing was, we never planned on releasing it, but people were demanding and writing us, kind of like, where can I buy this? So we started this, and we had like a limit to, we needed to get, I think it was 10,000 euros to be able to print it, and send it out to people. And we got that within 52 hours. And then we were up to 30,000 euros all of a sudden. And we just made like a DVD package and everything. So, but it's never really been released the way, like it is now. It
Yes.
wasn't on Spotify. You could only buy it through us. So I think for us, it's a double release date. To have both albums out at the same time is so fucking cool. Yeah.
Now, the release now, both CD has more sense than before. Why I tell you this? Because the first CD was the music of the 80s
Yeah.
and the second was the music of the 90s.
Yeah.
If we didn't know, I would expect a second CD with the music of the 80s too, because there
Yeah.
were more movies where you can
Absolutely.
take music. But now that you did and deliver a first CD from the 80s, the second from the 90s, so the third CD will be maybe the 20s or the 70s. What would you say?
I would say we could also go at the movies doing Disney. I mean, there's a possibility for everything, you know. But right now, we decided to not share the IDs we have, and I've already started on 2 songs. So, as before, people will know when we release the first song, and it's going to be every week as before. So every Thursday at 7 o'clock, people has to be, stand by. But now with the label, we need to plan it in another way. Before it wasn't planned. Before it was just made. But we're still having the same fun and the same inspiration, and we haven't met together, all of us. That's why there is no like band photo. It's all like a cartoon because we
Yes.
never met because of Corona. So and we said that okay, but now we maybe could go into studio. And I said no way, we're gonna do it exactly the same way as we did it. So nothing is changing except from the fact that we have a label that people actually can buy our stuff. That's the only difference.
But speaking about this, if you told me that the next could be at the movies doing Disney,
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah.
But speaking about the 70s, if you select some music from the movies from the 70s, maybe you are forced to select soul music, jazzy songs. Yes, and I think yes, tell
Yeah,
me, tell me.
yeah, maybe, but the same was actually with because the songs, like for us, I mean, when we did the 90s, there's a lot of songs that was written or released in the 80s as well,
Hmm.
but they were in 90s movies. When we go back, and I promise you, I've been looking a lot at the 70s. That's not a lie, because
Yes,
there's a shitload of good songs. But for us, the only thing is that it can't be a rock song. That's the only goal. It has to be a pop song, R&B song, whatever. And let's just see what happens when we play it together.
yes, I know that depending of you and the rest of the band. But for example, taking account that the only situation is that you don't want a rock song, you want a pop or so, maybe just you dare to change and rearrange soul music from the 60s or jazzy.
Absolutely, it's impossible. It's not impossible. I mean, right now I'm so open-minded, and as I told you, I started on 2 songs, and this time I have the time to actually, feel it. If it's is that a good idea or not? We didn't have that time before. We just poof, did it. So, but now I actually have some time to we could record a few songs and say, nah, that's not. We don't cut it, but we're not gonna do it. This is very important for me. We're not going to go back and redo stuff. It's yes or no, as the other records. When I've mixed a song, if people don't like it, okay, then it's gone. You know, let's not go in. But maybe if I sing like this, no, because I want to work on it. We don't have that time.
Yes.
Because that is what makes this so special. Also, the sound of it. I mean, Alan Sorensen was recording his drums in a room big like this. I mean, with cheap microphones, and everyone was recorded back home. Linnea borrowed a microphone from me because she didn't own a microphone, and but we got a sound out of it.
So I read that Sorensen looked for the musicians. What was your reaction when he proposed you the singer Bjork Strid?
That is not true. It was I who did that.
Ah, so tell
Yeah,
me, why
yeah,
did
yeah.
you select him?
Because Björn and me, we've been talking for a long time to work together, and we have the same kind of perverse love for 7980, that kind of music. And also to be honest, Björn, he was a fan of mine when he was young, so he used to sit like when we sound check, you know, watching us. So, but we never met in grown up life. So I think it's now about 7 or 8 years ago. We finally met as grown-ups, and we just decided we got to do something one day. And when me and Alan started talking about this, he was the first one I sent it to. What do you say? And he was like, "Oh yeah," you know.
Hmm. Yes, but I ask you because now I'm looking for, because my memory now is not so good. And a Bjork has two bands. One is Soil World, when the sound is not the sound that is related to at the movies, but the other is the Night Flight Orchestra.
Yeah.
And I thought that you selected because you watched him singing in the Night Flight Orchestra.
No, he actually played me the first album as demos that first night when we met. But I knew his love for that kind of music, you know? And people often say that it's so related. Yeah, it's related in the way that it's the music we listen to, that kind of music. But when it comes into to at the movies, it's something completely different. He told me a funny story. I got to tell you this.
Tell me.
You know, since he's been doing like soil work for so many years, and I mean that is his biggest band. They're huge, and then he did Night Flight Orchestra. But he said like the stupid thing or the strange thing is when I came home to my home city and I met old friends and my family. Everyone they said, "Oh, you sing so good at the movies." So probably because they knew the songs, but still, he felt like, "Wow, finally they enjoy my vocals," you know. So it's crazy. Yeah.
But Laney, another singer is a woman that made me feel really good. Is Linnea Vikstron Egg.
Yeah.
How did you get her in the project?
It was not hard. I mean, I've known Linnea since before she was born because her dad is Thomas Wikström from Therion and he sang in Candlemas and all this. And me and Thomas was friends. You know, I think I was 17 years old when I met him. So I actually changed diaper on Linnea. That's the truth, you know. And now she's a mom, and I'm the best babysitter in the world. So that's serious. I mean, and now from Saturday to Sunday, I had her older daughter that is 2.5 years old for a sleepover, which is nice, you know. So we're all family somehow. So I just asked her, "What do you say, Linnea? I would love to have your voice on this." And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." You know, so yeah, it wasn't hard.
Amazing, Chris. So let me ask you, the original songs were sung by men and women. Did you respect the idea when you recorded the version or not?
No, but we respected a lot. The difference between us and what we do to, you know, there's a lot of metal bands doing covers, but it would be easy to go like and do like a metal version of it because since we're all in metal bands. But we wanted to have the same tempo, the same key, same arrangement. The only difference would be that we play it. If there's a saxophone, it's a guitar, or you know, stuff like that. And I also thought that it would be cool if it's a woman song that Björn sang it, and vice versa. You know.
Yes.
But the more we work together, the more I love the twin vocals because they have some kind of ABBA quality together. When they sing together, it's like just beautiful. So let's see what happens. But in my head, you don't want to compete to something that is perfect. And some vocals are very perfect for a female, but then people will say I like the original better. But if it's a man going in, it's something else. So you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, I know perfectly because I'm going to, for example, an example that
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you for this is, for example, is Stairway to Heaven, sung
Yeah.
by Robert Plant. But when Stairway to Heaven is sung by Ann Wilson from Heart,
Oh, I love that version. You
yes,
know, but that's then you don't have to compete. You know, because you do. It's a total different instrument. you still know it, and you still feel like, oh, that's what I told the guys when we choose songs and all that. It's uh, people like the feeling of there's no place like home. They feel so the first like 10 seconds or something should be very similar to the original. And then you feel like you're home, and then you can say, "Oh, mom, you put on a new, you know, mirror or something," But it has to fool the ear and the feeling, on how to do it. Now I sound totally crazy, but that's how I think.
Let me tell you that I knew all the songs, the original version, because I saw the movie like you. I saw the bands singing like you. But now, in your version, my favorite movies change and
Yep.
now are different. Because before, The Power of Love was one of my favorite,
Yeah.
and now in at the movies, my favorite is Far From Over.
Oh, cool. Thank you,
Yes,
sir. Because
please.
that is one of my absolute favorites too.
Yes,
Yeah.
but tell me about the arrangement and the musician, because maybe I'm wrong, but I listen that the vocal parts are a little different.
Yeah,
The arrangement.
it's not very much difference, but that song we never made a YouTube video, like we used to do. It was, when everyone, we started this campaign, and me and Björn, it's actually just me and Björn in this case, we just said like, that song, we should do that song because it also shows off the musicianship and how we play, and it's not like your ordinary, heaven is a place on earth song. This is something completely different, but let's show them. That was our the whole mission, just to be able together to play something that wasn't supposed to be like a single or anything. And we love that song, and the best part of everything is that Stallone himself, he actually wrote that this is killer. So yeah.
If there is an opportunity to bring the band on tour,
Mhm.
how many singers are you going to bring in the band?
If I could be absolutely honest, we're talking about this all the time, and we have a conclusion that we will never go on tour, but we will do festivals. And if we can't do festivals together, because there's two people that's very busy, and that is Pontus Norgran with Hammerfall, and that is Björn. And then we will call it At the Movies featuring, and then we will see who's headlining and everyone, and ask them to go out and fill and do the stuff. So I think it's gonna be cool. And we are a band, we're not a project, because everyone signed the deal together, everyone is splitting everything together. But when it comes to the live performance, we need to keep going. It's our baby together. And it's all cool with everyone. So if there is a chance we could be the originals, that's going to be awesome too. you know but to know exactly how it looks right now, it's maybe we could do two shows with all the original members, then it would be At the Movies featuring. But I think that would be cool too. I do.
Good. So while you were working in at the movies, what happened with Pretty Maids?
Pretty Maids has been on ice since Ronnie got cancer. That is the truth. He got cancer, and he got well. At the same time that he got well, the whole pandemic started, and then it got bad again. And yeah, I mean, we just released Undress Your Madness, and we went like, shit, we can't tour on this because he's sick. And then the pandemic came, and we were starting talking, how do we do this? Let's release a live album to keep the band alive.
Yes.
But you can't control what's happening in the world right now. So no, Pretty Mates is on ice, for that reason only. And that's why I decided to do At the Movies. And with At the Movies, Ronnie, he totally adored the idea. So he called me up and said, every Thursday, what's the next song? And I was like, I can't tell you, man. And then all of a sudden I told him that, yeah, I have a few IDs, And I told him, I have this, Thunderdome, We Don't Need Another Hero. And
Yes.
he just said, like, that's mine. I was like, yeah, but man, come on. And then we decided he could sing on it, but he was scared shitless because they took away like a third of his lung. He didn't know if he could do the high parts.
Mm.
But that song was his comeback, that he knew that he could sing, he could deliver. And that's why we've done his solo albums after that, just to keep him going while the world is crazy.
Yes, I need to say sorry because I must remember the situation with Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yes, and now I didn't know. I feel sad for this, but let me tell you now that we are talking about it, that something that to me is an example and must be an example for every person in this world is the attitude of Ronnie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
He
is
is such a fucking trooper. And
yes,
we talk every day. And the whole idea of having this, a project, making a new album, doing that makes him also get like ooh, let me just do this. I have so much within me. So we have been working. Now there's a second album coming out. So I did 2 at the movies and 2 Ronnie Atkins within a year, which
oh,
is insane.
good.
Yeah,
We don't
but
have concert, but we have new music a lot.
absolutely. But I must say it's fantastic. I spoke to Ronnie just earlier today, and he's feeling good right now. The only thing we know is, there's cancer within in him, so it could be 2 months or 5 years. We don't know, you know. But he's a good spirit and he's laughing all the time, and we're having a great time. Hopefully, we will do some Pretty Maids in the future, but right now it's more focus on him having something to focus on right now. Doesn't have to be Pretty Maids. It doesn't have to be he just have songs. He needs to you know. So yeah.
Yes. So please give him my support in name of Made in Metal, in name of the Spanish fan, and in
Absolutely.
name of the Cuban fans, because I'm in Cuba. I was
Yeah.
born in Cuba. I met your band in Cuba and everything. But
Yeah.
but now this is the moment when you will say goodbye, something to the Spanish fans.
Yeah.
And with that, we close the interview.
Absolutely. I would say like this, Spanish fans. I mean, to start with, I love Spain. We have Rene Shades. He lives in Mallorca, which is like, it's not Spain for me, but it is Spain. And my wife can speak Spanish, which I found out on our honeymoon. And I was like, who are you? Really? you know, but I would so love to come back and play. I mean, we've only done one festival down there, Barcelona Rock Fest, I think it was.
Yes.
And please just pray that we get this Corona shit gone so we can have fun together again. That's all I have to say.
Yes, Chris. I'm going to say goodbye, but please don't, no, hold the line because I want to tell you another thing that happened to me this morning.
Yeah,
Okay?
sure, man. Sure, man.
Okay, so it was Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal talking to Chris Laney about the new At the Movies albums. Bye bye, Chris. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Today, to me, is a busy day, and this morning I was trying to wake up, and I
Yeah.
was thinking all the things that I need to do today, and I remember the interview, and from a moment I imagine At the Movies playing Chaff. Do you know Chaff, the song from the 60s?
Yeah, of course.
Chaff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So no,
I
it's
love
totally crazy.
it's actually on my list of songs. So
Don't tell me.
yeah,
Don't,
it is. It
don't tell.
is. You know, we have a list on Google Drive where we do all the what do you think about this? You know, so it's there. I know what key it is in, and I've already do comments, and so maybe that's all I have to say.
No, no, but tell me, how long is the list? 200, 100?
No, not right now. We just started it, so it's about 45 songs right now.
Okay, there is an opportunity.
Yeah, there is absolutely.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much for your
Thank you,
time.
sir.
I
And
enjoy it a lot.
me too. Me too. Have a good one. Hope to see you.
You too. Bye bye.
Buddy. Cheers. Bye.